Tsar Nikolai I was once traveling and he was planning on passing through Vilna. Prior to his arrival, he sent a memo that on the day that he came, there was going to be a grand show. The entire army, all the musicians, the drummers, the soldiers, they're all going to perform in honor of the Tsar. And as the date got closer, excitement mounted. The Tsar was coming. Such an incredible grand display was going to happen. And the date of his arrival, early in the morning, the soldiers started filling the square. The drummers, the fifers, all the different constituents of the army were gathered. And in perfect choreography, perfect arrangement. The drummers in one section and all the musicians in another section. The soldiers in the middle with those on horses on the outside, all ready for the grand performance in honor of the Tsar. And of course, all the people gathered as well in their finery, waiting for this incredible and momentous moment. Finally, the Tsar arrives. Everyone is quiet. The Tsar motions to the army to begin. And everyone is quiet. And the band does not begin playing. The soldiers do not begin marching. There is no movement at all. The crowd starts murmuring. People start wondering, what's going on? And the Tsar again gives the signal, thinking maybe there was a miscommunication. And again, nothing happens. More murmurs, more whispers. And finally it becomes clear that at the center, at the front, there's a podium, there's a stage for the commanding general to stand on and to lead the procession. But the general was not there. There was no one to lead. The show did not begin. And finally the Tsar called out, is there anyone willing to get up and take the place of the commanding general? And there's more murmurs and all the soldiers are looking to each other. Who's going to take on such a burden, such a responsibility to command everyone to perform in front of the Tsar? And finally, from the back, a little soldier, only part of the army for a few weeks, raises his hand. And he slowly walks to the front as the crowd becomes silent again. And he turns to the Tsar and he says, I'm willing. And the Tsar motions for him to get up on the podium. And he gets up on the podium and he starts the motions just like the commanding general. And the band begins playing and the soldiers begin marching. And everything is working to perfection. And as he is performing, and as he looks exactly like the general with every hand motion and every gesture, all of a sudden their general himself starts running in. And the Tsar sees him from the back, and the Tsar motions for him to sit down. And this little soldier up in front, on top of the podium, in front of the thousands of people, performs, commands, and leads to perfection, and concludes with a standing ovation. And after the show, the Tsar calls over the real general and calls over this little soldier that just had the performance of his life. And the Tsar says to the general, you come late? How much do I pay you to be the general of this army? And he tells him a large sum of money. And he turns to the little soldier. And he says, and how much do I pay you? A few pennies. And the Tsar says to the general, your wages are going to be transferred to this soldier who performed to such perfection today. The Chafetz Chaim tells over this story, and he says there are times in our lives that we could be like that little soldier. There are times that we could step up to the plate. There are times that we're just waiting for a general, waiting for someone to command the room. Any person could step up and be that person. We know how to act. We know how to mimic the motions. That soldier, all he did was mimic what he and all the other soldiers saw so many hundreds of times. In all the rehearsals and all the practices, they all saw exactly how the general acted. And now that soldier was able to mimic his actions and thereby win such an incredible reward. We could do the same. Whether it's a temptation, whether it's a lack of desire to learn, a lack of desire to do a chesed, not wanting to daven. At that moment, says the Chafetz Chaim, we could get up and we could say, we're going to be the general. Even though we're not a general. Maybe we're just a little soldier in the back of the room. But at that moment, we have the ability to step up, to rise to the occasion. And with that, we can get such incredible reward. The reward that's really in store for the general. But at that moment of difficulty, we could rise to the occasion and walk away with such an incredible prize.
Thank you for listening to the Guard Your Eyes Daily Chizuk broadcast. Pass them on to your friends and help spread Kedusha in the world.